Hello again, fellow YouTubers. Solomon Pleasant back here for yet another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. Now, I've recently been looking at some comments and some people have been telling me, hey, you've been doing a lot of Night Course stuff and you haven't been doing as much as your older videos. So this is kind of a disclaimer as well as doing a deck profile on something I've done a bunch, and this is probably the last time I'm going to do deck profile on this particular deck right here. Until, say, some new stuff comes out, which I'll explain as the deck profile goes on. So, to kind of explain to everybody who's been wondering about that, I'm going to continue to do cardfight stuff. I would like to continue to do that. It's going to be difficult because A, it's hard to get the materials that I need for said specific decks, and I just don't, get stuff that often. So it's very hard for me to continue producing these videos when I find it hard to obtain the cards needed, because some of them cost a lot of moolah, and I'm not rich or anything, so I can't really do that. I will also be trying to do other top 12s and stuff. It's just been hard trying to figure out what to do. School recently got out by the time I'm uploading this, so hopefully I'll have more time now. It's just right now, Night Core is the easiest thing to do because it's fairly easy for me to do and it doesn't consume as much time. But I will try to make some more videos. I've been recently doing a collaboration with Monty. You'll find out who he is. He was on my video with the top 12 favorite Cardfight Vanguard clans. We're actually doing a whole clan analysis video again, so if you liked my last one, I'm doing a more updated version of it now, so that's going to come out in snippets, but as of now, yeah, I will try to produce more things, but sometimes it takes a while because I want to make it good for you, the viewing audience. So, with that out of the way, this will be the last deck profile you'll probably see for a while, just because the stuff I need is a bit expensive. And some of it's not even out yet. So, it's going to take a while before the next one comes out, but when it does, it will be uploaded. Do not worry, I haven't really stopped doing this yet. Don't want to plan on doing that, so let's just get started. So, for our deck profile, we feature, once again, the Spike Brothers. Yep, this is my Final Down deck, which I've showcased on here twice. So, I changed it, tweaked it just a little, but I'm just going to review it more for review's sake, and just because I'm just going to try to give you a very review-wise deck for this kind of deck, because this is the last one you're going to see probably for a while until I can get some more units for some of the decks I'm building. I've got about, besides this one, I think 5 other decks in mind, and then after that I don't know. Hopefully I'll be able to showcase some battles soon. Not sure, but comment below, tell me what you want to see more of. Just give me what you want to see and I will try to do that. So, anyway, let's just go over my Final Down deck considering it's, yeah. Anyway, our starter is Reign of Terror. Another good starter would be Mecha Trainer, but I prefer Reign of Terror because he basically bounces back units that can't bounce back themselves because of his skill that says when it boosts a Spike Brother, that's a normal unit, so no triggers. And that unit's on rear guard, the booster gets +3, and at the end of the turn that unit goes back if you gave it +3. So it is optional to not give it +3 and just have it swing in for its normal 5k, but you can give the unit +3 and then it bounces back. So for units that don't have the initial skill to bounce back, this is a really, really helpful unit. When he dies though, it's gonna hurt. So hopefully you're not versing decks where he dies. But, really good starter. Mecha Trainer is also a pretty decent starter to have if you don't have this guy. I run Reign of Terror because Mini Seafried is awesome. Moving on to the trigger lineup. For Draw Trig, because you kind of want a hand advantage in Spike Brothers. And I hear in set 16 we get some more triggers and draw triggers included, and I may nibble at that, but yeah, 4 draw trigs is pretty much a standard thing. I guess if you wanted to play weird, you could run stands, but I haven't seen a Spike Brother deck use stands. Have you? Comment below. I haven't, so I use draw trigs because getting that hand advantage is really good for later. And that was Cheerful Links, by the way, if you were wondering. If you can't read, which I'm sorry if you can't. Next, I run 4 crit trigger of Silence Joker. Now, granted, he has an ability which says put him in a soul and unflip damage, but I rarely use that for some reason. Mainly because I use him more of just throwing him in the soul for some of the other abilities, but it's still nice to have crit triggers because spikes kind of you need to punch you in the face with crits. So it's nice to have them. And it's an okay ability for that every now and then where it's like, oh, I don't have enough counterblast. Better throw him in the soul to get one more counterblast. So it's a good crit trigger to have. I use Silence Joker because there aren't any more crit trigs available as of yet. So there's that. Yep, hit the camera a little. That's not good. I then run 4 Sonic Breakers because I like using crits in a Spike Bro deck, and because Spike Bros focus more on heavy damage, early game heavy damage, is just punching you repeatedly in the face, than it is based on... And honestly, they do multiple attacks, but notwithstands, they do it more with the going in and out of the soul, which if you don't play spikes, you'll find out sooner or later. But 8 crits, 4 draw, because 8 crit and 4 draw is pretty standard for most Spike Bro decks. And then 4 heals. And yes, I'm using this Cheer Girl because nobody likes the other Cheer Girl. The other one that is also a heal, that isn't a Cheer Girl and needs to be burned in a pit of fire. Anyway, so yeah, 4 heals because if you ran Suicidal, that's kind of stupid. Nobody wants to run Suicidal. Nobody does. 4 heals are nice. Anyway, moving on to the grade 1 lineup. I run 2 Dudley Phantom. I'm just gonna zoom in a little there. Just gonna try to... That's better. 2 Dudley Phantom. Now, this guy is used for late game, because his skill is basically... It's like a Vanguard booster, except for the rear guard. It basically becomes a 10k booster and then goes to the bottom of the deck at the end of the turn. So I only use 2 of these things because they're really for late game, and I don't want them taking up space for some of the other units I use in this deck. But 2 is still a pretty good number because that way you have a chance of actually getting it out and then basically getting your units up to a higher level than what they already are, and they can combo off pretty well. And I may show the thing. Anyway. 2 Dudley Phantoms. 1 Cheer Girl Marilyn. Because I run 1 P-Guard in most of my decks, or I don't run P-Guards at all, because I am poor and cheap and cannot get P-Guards. Yeah. And also, it's Spike Brothers. Now, Spike Brothers don't really focus on P-Guarding, mainly because they want to get stuff in and out of the deck and just keep bouncing and smacking you repeatedly in the face, which is why I like this deck, because I don't need as many P-Guards. But it's nice to have one just for that one situation where it's like, oh, I'm going to hit you for a bunch of damage, it's like P-Guard. So it's nice to have one at least. Which is what I do for some of my decks. Some of my other decks I'm just like, nah, why not? No P-Guards then. And some of them I'm just like, whatever. So there's that. I run 3 Medical Managers. Manager is a pretty standard unit. With his skill in the Dark Zone, it's pretty much a place on Vanguard or Rearguard, and if you have a Spike Brothers Vanguard, Soul Charge 1. So he's that little helpful Soul Charger that you do early game to help you get some stuff in the Soul. After that, he's pretty much guard fodder, which is what some of these other cards are, but he's still a really nice unit to have early game. Because that extra Soul Charge does come in later. I run 3 Reckless Express. Now, Express is one of the main units that you'll see throughout this deck that has that theme of Soul Blast 1, get +5, and at the end of the turn, return to the deck. And then shuffle the deck, which is nice. The Express is basically the 7k of a is the 7k maximum. That's what he is. And that's what he's used for. Sometimes you can ride him and you'll be fine because it's a 7k, but it's a pretty good unit to have in your deck. I recommend using him. There's some other units I think you could use, but honestly, I use him. Because he's pretty good if you can't get a Maximum in your hand or a Baraki in your hand. He's good to be there where it's like early game punch or desperate punch. So it's nice to have the Express in your hand at times. And finally, for grade 1s, 4 Wonder Boy. Wonder Boy is that 8k beat stick that allows you to get that extra power and helps you boost the Vanguard to help you get even higher power. And 8Ks are awesome in Spike Brothers. Unlike some other clans where you might not want to use 8Ks, this is one clan where you do, because Wonder Boy is a pretty good unit to have. That's why I run 4 of him. So, there's that for the grade 1 setup. Now for the grade 2. Now, some of you might be shocked with this first one. I run 2 Devil Summoner. Now, some people would argue using some different units like Charging Bill, which I can understand. I'm just not a fan of using stuff that requires your Vanguard to be at limit break. I'm not a fan of using those kind of cards. There's a Below Kiss Olivia. She's okay. There's Field Driller, which I know is the same power base. There's Zachary, I think. But I use Summoner just because I had enough of him to use, and he's an okay unit, actually, because what Summoner does is when you place him on Vanguard or Rearguard, look at the top card of your deck. If it's a grade 1 or grade 2 Spike Brothers, instantly call to Rearguard, and then if not, shuffle your deck. So, at the very minimum, it's a deck shuffler. It instantly shuffles your deck, and if it does work out, great, because you can either get an extra attack, or get, like, say, Phantom over here, or say Manager, Express, or Wonder Boy out to help you boost, or if it's Express, then you can get another attack in. And also, considering I have Reign of Terror, I'll usually call Summoner either to the Vanguard Circle or to the Reign of Terror spot, and then basically bounce him back later, so he's not a nuisance on the field then. He is a 7K, but he doesn't stick around very long anyway. He's just there to help me get some support or give me an instant shuffle. So that's why I only run 2, because I don't want to fully rely on his skill, but he's still got an okay skill. It's an okay skill that I think some people underestimate. So there's that. Obviously, I run 4 high-speed Baraki, because Baraki is the 9K, is the grade 2 Juggernaut maximum. That does the same thing as Express. So I'm just going to show that there. There we go. Pretty straightforward. He's somebody that Summoner also can call out, so it'd be nice if Summoner called this guy out, because then he can just bounce back later. So, Barakis are good to have. Use Barakis, Expresses, and Juggernauts. Next, I run 3 Dudley Mason. Mason is Dudley Dan's older brother, I guess you can say, because Mason kind of has the same thing as Dan, except a little bit easier. Vanguard or Rearguard, you may Counterblast 1 and choose a Spike Brother from your hand, put it into the Soul, so that's some extra Soul Fuel. Yay. And when this unit attack hits, you may do that, and search your deck for a Spike Brother, call to Rearguard, and shuffle your deck. So this is one of the few units that actually helps me call out units besides Summoner over there. Except this one has more of a cost, Summoner is more limited, so they balance out. They balance out pretty well. Also, it's Counterblast 1, so it's one of the few cards in here that actually does Counterblast. Yeah, it's one of the 2 cards that Counterblast in here, so that's probably why I don't use Joker as much, because I don't eat up my Counterblast as much. But Mason is a really good card to have. 2 minimum. 2 minimum with Mason. I would not run any less than 2. Because he is good to have. Especially when you ride him on... He's really good on Vanguard. Because it pretty much pressures your opponent to either guard the attack or take it and hope you don't get crit, and the next thing you know, oh, it's a crit, and I also get to call out another unit. So, Mason really can apply the pressure. And if you call him to the Reign of Terror spot, if Mason doesn't hit, oh, back to the deck anyway. So, good unit to have, and look at UFO over there. I feel so sorry for him. I'm so sorry, UFO. I'm gonna move my camera just a bit to clear up some space. Finally, for grade 2s, 4 Treasured Black Panther, the 10K beat stick. I use him for power base. Basically, he's there to have Reign of Terror boost and then bounce back. Or say I break ride and then I can just bounce Panther back later, so Panther has some playability since set 10 came out. Panther now has more playability, because I can understand not using him in a non-set 10 deck, because Panther can't bounce back like other units like Baraki can. Or Juggernaut or the Express. Panther is good now because I have some units that can just bounce him back regardless. So, good to have a 10K beater. Moving on to grade 3s. Oh, mess with the camera again. There we go. Alright. Moving on to my grade 3-year lineup. 4 Juggernaut maximum. it's kind of mandatory to at least run 2 of Juggernaut Maximum. Granted, some people would say, hey, you should run less than 4 Juggernaut Maximum. I run 4 just because this way I can guarantee that I have a Juggernaut in my hand or somewhere. I can guarantee there's a Juggernaut then. Unless they all get damage checked or all get sucked into the soul. Then I have to rely on Baraki and the Express. But hey, that's what Panther's also for, to get some power boost. Juggernaut is basically the guy that says, hey, I do that other thing that Express and Baraki do. Soul Blast 1, +5, back of the deck at the end of the turn. And when you see the combos you can pull off with Juggernaut, you'll see why I run 4. Because it's nice to have 4 Juggernauts, and I have 4 Juggernauts, so I might as well use them. I could understand using units like Skydiver, or maybe some other units than the ones I'm about to or maybe more copies of the units I'm about to show, but I like having 4 Juggernauts. Moving on to Bad End Dryer. Now I can understand using 3 or possibly even 4, but I like to run 2 just because I need space for Juggernauts, because I like using my Juggernauts. Because he is my Roid Rage Warrior. And my voice is probably going out, so I should try wrapping this up at some point. Bad End is the break ride that says, hey, your Vanguard gets +10, and any unit, Spike Brother unit that rearguard that attacks also gets +10 and then goes to the bottom of the deck. So let's just say for a moment that I Soul Blast with Juggernaut. He's at 26 now. Can you see why I want to run a bunch? There's also that extra auto ability that says if a Spike Brother boost gets +2, so that's nice to have. That's a nice little thing to have. It's okay to break ride him. I can understand running 3. I just personally run 2 because then I can have space for my Juggernauts. And finally, the card I usually break ride Bad End with. I run 2 Demonic Lord Dudley Emperor. Emperor is basically the ace of this deck. Because what Emperor does is Limit Break 4, Counterblast 2, choose Spike Brothers, put them into the soul. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you may pay the cost. If you do, search your deck for 2 Spike Brothers, call them separate rear guards, and shuffle your deck. Oh hey, +3 when he gets boosted by a Spike Brother. That's nice. So, basically the combo is break ride him, have 2 Juggernauts already on the field, have those Juggernauts attack, Emperor attacks, use Emperor's ability, 2 more Juggernauts, back to the field, 5 attacks with a 20k base. At least. A 21 or 20k base. Yeah, that's going to cause your opponent to burn through their hand. I've seen these guys burn through people's hands very fast. Now, under normal circumstances, I would showcase this deck in the Final Down formation, but honestly, I did that in my last video, so I'm going to put a link for that so you can go see the final formation for it, because I don't want to bother doing it again. So, I'm just pretty much going to end it here because my voice is tired now. So, this has been my final, hopefully, unless some new stuff comes out that I really like, this has been one of my final showcasings of the Final Down Spike Brothers deck. I think it's pretty awesome. Tell me what you think about it. Tell me what should be changed. Tell me what you like that should be kept the same. Nag at me if you want to for having less Emperors and Bad Ends than Juggernauts. But regardless, this has been my Final Down deck profile. This has been my deck profile of my Spike Brothers. And this is Solomon Pleasant saying, signing off, and I will hopefully try to do more of these in the future. Signing off. For real this time. Whatever.